The next main concept we want to talk about is the React router. We need a way to navigate programmatically in our React application. And because React is a UI library, it only deals with the user interface and the components. We have to go outside of this library to deal with navigation. So React Router is a very popular library that deals exactly with navigation. So what the React Router will do for us is once we install it into our application, it's going to give us some client-side routing. Basically, we have a single page application. However, our user doesn't know that they're always on the same page. So this React Router will deal with the component rendering so that when the user is navigating, let's say, for example, they navigate to an admin section, they believe that they're going to another part of the application when in fact they're on the same page, and the React Router is dynamically rendering in and out hide showing components. With this package, we also have a way to create some route management and route tables. Also some dynamic route handling, so we can pass parameters in the URL and extract them and communicate by passing parameters in the URL to the components. Key features of the React Router: dynamic routing. As we mentioned, as the user input is navigating and state is changing, our application is rendering different components. We can have nested routing, so we can have main routing table. When another portion of the website loads in, let's just say the admin routes, then within the admin component can have child routes in there specific to that modules. Dashboard loads in, and then there's all these admin routes that are only available when the user is able to pass through to that admin section. And then of course we have programmatic navigation now. We can control how we can route. We can redirect. We can pass parameters in the URL. We can do a lot of this work from within the components themselves. So here's some routing basics. When our React application loads up, there's a request to the server. The server is going to return back the index.html. That is our single page and where our application lives. Within that index.html, React is going to render our application into the root node. From then on, our React router is going to take requests via the URL, and it's going to dynamically hide and show components based on the routes that the user is navigating to. So let's just say application/admin, the admin components will show. If they navigate to the guest side /guest, then the router is going to render the guest components. We can also do nested routing, as we mentioned. This is a good reason to organize our routes. Instead of having a very big route table defined in our app component, we can, based on the modules of our website, nest these different routes in those components so that as the React router is rendering these specific modules, let's just say the admin dashboard, then it has access to all of those nested components and nested routes. So we really improve our code organization by doing this and our whole application structure. And it makes it so that there's a lot of modularity and reusability in our components so that we can pull out the admin dashboard and all its routes and related components and manage it a lot easier. Dynamic routing, that deals with, the rendering of the pages. We can actually pass parameters in the URL, so we can have /user/user ID, and we can define that user ID. It'll be in the URL, but what's really great is in the component itself, they have different hooks to access the parameters. So one for accessing URL parameters is the use params hook. And that allows us to pull out any of those values that are mapped in our route to the component. So for instance, we are looking for user ID. It'll be available to us if it's configured in the route via the use params hook. So it's very flexible, very scalable, and creates a very good user experience. Flexibility in our routing behavior. So we're going to have a very flexible kind of routing system. Conditional navigation, we can control whether or not components are rendered or not based on authentication. If he's a user, you can navigate him to the admin dashboard. Otherwise, he can go to the guest dashboard. It's a very improved user experience. Again, we have to go outside React to do this. We need to install the React Router library. Current version is version 6. Also, one note, you have to be mindful of what version of React Router you're on. The syntax is a little bit different from React 4 from our current React router version 6. So just remember, when you run npm install, it's going to grab the latest, whatever the latest is. Currently it's version 6, but just be mindful when you're looking at other examples that there is slightly different changes in how the routing table is configured. So next up, we're going to add some routes to our application in our next module.